The bright studio lights of The Late Show glimmered off the sleek stage as the audience buzzed with anticipation. Tonight's guest, the legendary Denzel Washington. The azure blue backdrop gleamed, the laughter cues flickered like embers, everything pointed to a smooth evening of witty banter and charming anecdotes. In the buzz of backstage prep, Stephen Colbert leaned forward, running through his notes. His final line, "Give me the scoop, Denzel, what's the one title you'd really love to share with our world tonight, the main title, if you will." Denzel's eyes lit up. "Main title de Raha Hun," he said, voice low, confident. "Something that flips the script. Cue the camera." Colbert stepped onto the brightly lit stage, greeted by applause. Denzel followed, smooth and measured. Colbert leaned in. "So, Denzel, what's that title tonight?" Denzel tempted fate with a smile. "I'm about to give you a main title that nobody's ready for." The audience leaned forward. Colbert chuckled. "Now you've got us all curious." Denzel sighed, measured. "Let me start with a story." He began with a tale from his youth, growing up in Mount Vernon, early acting classes, the moment he first fell in love with storytelling. The audience listened, rapt. Then he shared a deeply personal revelation, a secret he'd carried for decades, one that would upend how the world saw him. Colbert's curiosity sharpened. "You're building up to it." Denzel paused. The studio lights seemed to dim for just a heartbeat. Then the revelation hit. "I've been battling depression in silence, for years. Until now." A hush. "Depression?" Colbert echoed, tone soft, the audience shock swelling. Denzel nodded. His story touched on vulnerability, fear, and survival, right from the Oscars to quiet nights alone. The crowd sat stunned. Then Denzel paused again. "But that's not the only title I'm giving tonight." The cameras closed in. Colbert's voice lowered. "What else?" Denzel stared straight into the lens. "I'm giving you one more main title." The audience held its breath. He took a deep breath and spoke the words that echoed across the studio, "I'm leaving Hollywood." The audience gasped, mouths dropped open. Colbert's smile froze. Denzel pressed on. "I'm done with the movie machine. I'm stepping away, from fame, from awards, from expectations. I want to create, not perform." A ripple of disbelieving murmurs filled the room. Colbert struggled for composure. You're quitting acting." Denzel stood tall. "Not quitting life. Just this life." Silence stretched. Colbert rose. The crew stared. And then, another surprise. While eyeing Colbert, Denzel added quietly, "And Stephen, I'm refusing to continue this interview." Live, on national television, he pivoted, walked off the stage. The cameras flicked, production chaos erupted, the audience was frozen in shock. The studio erupted into pandemonium. Producers scrambled behind the scenes. Stagehands scrambled for signals. The audience, mouths agape, hearts thumping, sat in stunned silence. Stephen Colbert stood alone under the glare of thousands of cameras. The broadcast continued, but with a static shot of the empty stage. His voice cracked. "Ladies and gentlemen, bear with us." Backstage, Denzel was walking down a narrow corridor. His heartbeat pounded in his ears. Flash bulbs popped in his mind. He didn't look back. In the green room, he removed his microphone. The weight of fame seemed to dissolve. He slipped off the headphones and stepped into the hum of lights, into a silence he'd longed for. Elsewhere in the studio, head writer Ava pressed a hand to her chest. She remembered the moment when Denzel quoted Maya Angelou. She'd nearly cried. Her phone buzzed. A producer's voice on the intercom. Cut to commercial. Moments later, the live show stumbled into the emergency outro. Colbert struggled to regather the audience, but his words echoed in emptiness. "Tonight was not what we planned." The camera drifted from the empty stage, across blank seats. Live TV had just delivered history. Media exploded. News headlines at 3 a.m. Denzel Washington just quit live on air. Social media flooded. Did we just witness the end of an era? Hashtag main title Dinois by Denzel trended worldwide. In his home, Denzel closed his eyes, finally breathing. He thought of his family, his daughter, his voice, his real voice beyond characters. He realized he wanted his next act to be quiet, intentional, unobserved. Meanwhile, executives in LA conference rooms watched the clip. They calculated damage, parsed optics, still trying to stage a narrative. At a small cafe in Karachi, someone stumbled on the clip. The reaction mirrored a global wave of awe, confusion, sorrow, admiration. The next morning, the world woke to the video. Journalists called for statements. Fans debated whether it was a stunt or sincerity. Denzel released a short message: "I've lived many lives through my roles. Tonight, I offered my true life. No PR fluff, just gravity." He spent the day with his loved ones. In the evening, he sat with a notebook under a single lamp, writing again, as writing once was, and feeling alive. Hollywood waited. But Denzel had spoken his final title.